that you are actually the prodigal product of every ancestor that you ever had. Every single person that came before you, that they fought wars and died and lived through all kinds of hardship just to produce you. And then here we are living in this unbelievable abundance. The biggest amount of abundance ever even possibly imagined ever. But yet we don't have enough, so we have to go attack other people. This is the insanity of the whole thing. We don't have enough. You go into any Wild Oats, you walk into Wild Oats, there's so much there, it's insane. But we don't have enough, so we have to go attack people for more. This is the product of diet. This is the product of the food that's been eaten. In fact, a friend of mine talked to George Bush, my friend Ross, CEO. He's a neat guy. He's amazing, amazing raw foodist in New York City. He's running an organization called Servidor, which is the eBay of printing. So when Avon has to print an $800 million printing bill, they go to him and he auctions off their print jobs to the big printers around the country, and then they take a percentage of that deal. And he saves people 30, 40% on the printing. It's unbelievable. Anyway, he knows all the bigwigs in the whole country, and he talked to George Bush. And George Bush said that if he was hungry enough, he'd eat his own dog. That's a direct quote. That you can quote that. That's the kind of situation that we're in here. Anyway, I'm not about politics or this or that or the other thing. What the real politics are the politics of what's going on inside of here in every moment. And the way that we can really get more control, or at least have a little bit more ability to influence our behavior, is to make some different choices about the things that we're introducing into our body in terms of information. Because this food is information at the bottom, at the very base of everything. Food is information. Fruit Loops is information, and durian is information. And that information is very different. Can we all agree to that? So the invitation here tonight is to open our minds up a little bit, to see a different possibility, to explore a new realm of choice. I had a great talk one night with Tony Robbins' wife, Sage. And Tony Robbins just somehow, it's an amazing story actually, somehow became a friend. Very interesting. Years ago, about 8 years ago, I was hanging out with my friend Todd, and we've both been raw foodists about the same amount of time. So as Shaker was saying, I've been a raw foodist about 9 years. I'm still alive. You can live on health food. That's an amazing thing itself. And so we're talking about, like, oh, we got to get the celebrity into raw food and that person, whatever. And so the name Tony Robbins came up. I don't know if you ever worked with the Tony Robbins organization. It's impossible to get to the guy. You can't call him up. You can't even get to him on stage, none of that. So I thought, well, that night I was thinking, well, how are we going to get to this guy? And so I wrote a goal down that night. He's going to call me. Now he's just working in a library at the time. None of this was happening. I was just working in a library at the time. I thought, he's going to call me to do a seminar with him. That's the goal I wrote down. Very powerful to write things down. Even one sentence. Even a sentence. Because you never know. In fact, everything that crosses my mind that I would desire as part of my future, I immediately write it down as a goal. Because I have found over 10 years, more than that, probably 12 years now of goal setting constantly, that you're somehow, and see, our universe, we're taught a belief system that the universe is objective, that things happen to us and everything's random and it's coincidence and whatever. The truth is that somehow we are intimately involved in creating the whole process of our reality. And that I have had goals that I wrote down, and they happened in the most bizarre ways without me even trying. And that has happened to me so many times that I know that if I write a goal down, if I write something down, it becomes real and possible. So that by the end of tonight, we may write a goal down, hey, my goal is to be 80% raw. My goal is to be 100% raw. My goal is to be 100% organic. My goal is to eat a diet that makes me feel amazing in every moment, which might be an appropriate goal. My goal is to eat 2 salads a day. My goal is to have a fresh, green vegetable juice every day. And if you write that down, you'll be amazed. I wrote his goal down the other day. This is a while back, and it was, I eat the best food ever. That's one of my goals. I eat the best food ever. Within a week, I'm in Roxanne's restaurant. And I'm going, whoa, that happened quick. That's like instantly. So the story was, I wrote that goal down about Tony Robbins. Well, last New Year's, We're having a retreat out at Eden Hot Springs. This is 2001, 2002. Phone rings. Guess who's on the phone? Tony Robbins. Asking me to come do a retreat with him. So we went and did the retreat with him, and it was amazing. It was amazing. It was his Platinum Partners group. That group, it's $60,000 just to be a member of the group. That doesn't cover your food, doesn't cover airfare, doesn't cover hotel, doesn't even cover your hotel, just to be in the group. And I went and did a lecture to them on raw food. Fascinating. Fascinating. It's funny the people who gravitate into those circles. Funny what happens when somebody reaches that level of success. A lot of times people get just completely bored. They don't know what to do with themselves. And that's why they join those kind of groups and go on for the ride. It's, there's an old story in our language and in our culture about Aladdin's lamp. Remember that whole story? The whole story is the kid is in the desert and he wanders into a cave during a sandstorm and he sees this old lamp and he polishes it up and this genie appears and gives him his 3 wishes, and what happens? Totally blows the whole thing. Careful what you wish for, because your wishes do come true. It's twofold. Careful what you wish for, because your wishes do come true. Well, I found out that there is a way to live. You can manifest things quicker out of the ether. You can manifest things faster out of nothing into something. There is a way to do that by shifting what you're eating. It's interesting as that sounds. And this is it. This is how it works, is that because we are what we eat, typically what we're really talking about here is that what we're really eating essentially is information, and the information that's in the food essentially is minerals. Minerals are like radio stations. And so if you have access, remember what it was like when I was born, 1970, there was PBS maybe for 8 hours, CBS, NBC, and ABC. That was it. That was all the information you got. And so that's like having 4 minerals in your food, which is like Wonder Bread. I mean, it's a wonder we survived Wonder Bread. So having 4 minerals in the food is like just going, okay, I hope I can figure out how to heal MS by watching the nightly news. Unlikely that that's going to occur. But what do we have today? Different era we live in today, and we are so blessed. We are so blessed, it's absolutely insane. It's beyond insane. I mean, we have access to, we have all the knowledge that ever existed right now, access just like that in 15 seconds on the internet. You can get on the internet. Let's say you have any question that you have, anything. I don't care what it is. How do I heal multiple myeloma? You can get on the internet, and in 15 seconds you can find the answer, get the books, get the information, get the diet strategy, everything all right there, boom, and actually heal that. See, the internet's the greatest force for good going right now, and the internet has completely blown apart the whole centralized control of medicine and is all in the process of blowing apart the centralized control of all information. And what's beautiful about this is that we now have access to millions of stations. And what that looks like is 92 minerals. Because the base case is, hey, we might be able to get by with like 5 minerals or 6. And that's what you see today in like our culture, kids, juvenile delinquents, maybe 6 minerals. And then what we could have is 92 minerals. That's where we can be. And most of us are probably in the 30 mineral range. 30 mineral range. Well, we could have 92. Here's what we're discovering. Remember I said there's an agenda somewhat. It's almost being allowed to happen to fill us up with gunk. Right? Any fast food chain is just allowed to do whatever they want. But if, God forbid, if one herb causes one person to throw up, that has to be banned instantly. The case being chaparral. The FDA banned of food. There's millions of chaparral plants right out there in the desert. You just drive about 1,000 miles from here. There'll be millions of plants, and the FDA banned that plant. You can't have that. Because somebody got sick one time having it. Then a bunch of herbalists got together and said, is that really true? And they found out it wasn't. They found out that the FDA made it up. However, see, this one plant, chaparral, is the strongest anti-cancer herb that's ever been found. This might give an idea of who's actually running the FDA.